My name is John Rogers, and this is my story. It was the year 2064, and I was a prisoner in the state penitentiary prison for a crime that I didn't commit. I was accused of grand theft when I bought a stolen vehicle from a guy at a wholesale price. I should have known there was something fishy about this deal. I was accused in the court of law of the crime. I denied committing it, but the jury found me guilty by their own beliefs. In this age, due to overpopulation and not enough space in prisons, the prisoners were frozen and were therefore put in deep sleep. After the time sentenced to the prisoners, they would be unfrozen and would go through a rehabilitation program. The real cause was that they would miss all the time with their loved ones, who would either die or forget about them while they would be frozen. Right after my trial, I was taken to the freeze room, and as far as I can remember, they put me into a glass cylinder with tubes attached to me for checking my vital signs. The steam would rise up. It would get cold, and I would be frozen in less time than a heartbeat. Suddenly, I was unfrozen and felt extremely weak. I had been frozen for 15 years, although my sentence was 20. During these times, the punishments were much harsher than they were back in the early 2000s due to overpopulation. I fell on my knees and noticed that I was in a different place, in some kind of lab. Then I suddenly realized that I was not in the same place as I remembered a moment ago. When you are frozen, the passing of time seems simultaneous. I heard a sweet and a familiar voice tell me, "Let's go. You are one of the few lucky ones. I have been looking after you while you were frozen." It was the voice of a prison coordinator named Brittany Lester, whom I made friends with while I was awaiting my trial process. I told her that I was innocent. She had believed me and must have felt sorry for me. I remember her as a sweet young gal in her early 20s, but now she was 15 years older and a middle aged woman with slight wrinkles on her face. Yet she still kept her same sweet voice. I asked her, "Where are we?" She answered in a calm yet a concise tone. "We are on Mars, the colony of Uturia. While you were frozen, there was civil unrest in the Middle East. Iran got a nuclear weapon and used it on India, which had triggered World War III. Much of planet Earth was wiped out. However, the lucky ones who have bought their tickets early got a chance to escape on space shuttles to Mars colonies, which were developing further. At the time, I decided to take you with me because I believe in your innocence and I believe that you deserve a second chance at life." I was completely shocked at her answer. I knew that there was a lot of politics going on while I was on Earth, but I was an artist and didn't pay much attention to it all. I suppose I thought everything would turn out right like always, but obviously I was wrong this time. Then she said, "Follow me, I have a lot to show you." I was still in my prison clothes in which I was frozen in and were still wet from the ice. They were typical white rags with black stripes. After we went outside the laboratory, I was inside some kind of a metallic tube looking building with round glass windows. Through those windows, I saw the Mars landscape with red rocks and mountains. It looked very much like Bryce Canyon back in Utah, but more alien looking. This colony of Utoria was inside a giant connection of tunnels. I asked Brittany, "Can we go outside?" She answered, "Yes, we can, but we need specific breathing masks." The Mars landscape doesn't provide the same air that Earth does. The air is too dusty for humans not to wear a filter mask. We both went toward a metallic tube like vending machine about 7 feet tall. This machine only had one button and was intended specifically to provide these filter breathing masks. She put in $200. There was major inflation by this time. $100 would be worth as much as $1 in 2020. And two filter masks came out at the clicks of a button that went from red light blinking back to blue light. These breathing masks looked very similar to the sanitary masks the doctors were given back on Earth's hospitals, except they had additional goggles attached to them to protect the eyes. By the time I was on Mars, the process of terraforming the planet was complete, so the air was normal, yet the atmosphere was very dusty. The dust in the air was the main concern for people walking the surface of Mars, so these precautions were of regular protocol. We went outside and the Mars warm breeze hit me. It felt a bit like a light sauna, the way you feel in the beginning when you come in and feel the heat, or at how some hot summers on Earth felt. But this weather was constant on Mars. I saw numerous people wandering around, and there were many tube shapes, metallic buildings connected to one another, like the one I came out of. Then I asked Brittany, "Where are we?" She replied, "We are in town square of Atoria on Jimmy Page Street." So we kept walking. It seemed like a futuristic colony, much like would be imagined in the old science fiction movies back on Earth, such as a classic flick Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. However, this was the restart of a civilization on a different planet. In this time, human beings have reached high advancements in science, which eventually led to their own self destruction on Earth, which now was a barren nuclear wasteland. I saw merchants dealing various different electronic devices as I kept walking. Then we came to a stop when we saw the town square biodome, where humans would grow their own foods, keep farm animals, and even have a few small cafe shops. Brittany then said, "Are you hungry? You must be after not eating for, let's see, 15 years." I replied, "Yes, I'm starved. Let's eat." We went inside the biodome and I saw a broad collection of different kinds of livestock and animals in thick glass cages. For some reason, it reminded me a bit of Noah's Ark, but I don't see anything strange about that since it was pretty much the same concept. We kept walking and then stopped at a Utoria Inn cafe. I ordered some bread and fried chicken. Then I asked Brittany, "Aren't you going to eat as well?" She replied, "No, I'm not hungry right now, but you go right ahead." All this time, so many thoughts have raced through my mind. This all seemed like some kind of a weird dream, which I thought I would snap out of at any moment. This was a new reality and a chance at a new life now on Mars.